Welcome back to Forensics Detailing channel. Please hit subscribe and hit the bell button if you've not done so already, even if you're an existing subscriber. And check out the link to our Patreon community, a private Patreon community with all different levels and tiering of access through to basic access, advanced viewing of content, monthly competitions and all sorts of things. So go check that out. Today's subject, tyres. This is something we've talked about before on the channel. This video is going to be slightly controversial because I think there's some things that you need to know about. So let's crack on with it. First of all, how should you clean tyres, guys? You should use a detergent. You should use tyre brushes to scrub the wall of the tyre. And you should use rags to wipe them dry and wipe off any film that the brushes don't absorb material. So if there's any sort of grease or dirt on the surface, brushing agitates it and it can shift it, but you need something to absorb it, so wiping over it with a rag. Yes, a rag. You know, don't go buy piles of fresh microfiber to clean your tyres unless you've got a lot of money. Have rags. What are rags, John? You can buy rag cloths, you know, for garages buy them and stuff like that. But they could be an old t-shirt that you cut up, an old towel that's done with, because you're going to destroy it and cover it in grease and throw it away. It could be relegated microfiber. Rags, cheap, nothing clever. And we've done the videos on tyre cleaning. Go and watch that, and we talk a little bit about the chemicals as well. The key thing about what I've said with chemicals here is a detergent, a water-based or water-carried detergent that you scrub over the surface, and it will do a good job. That's all you need, okay? A reasonably strong detergent, I'd say. Now, what are people doing? A mistake that I think people are making is that they are cleaning their tyres with solvent. Okay, now solvents are a different kettle of fish to detergents and surfactants. Detergents and surfactants are there to enable water and greases to mix together. The reason just water on its own isn't a great cleaner with greases and oils is the two things they repel each other, don't they, down at like an atomic level. So they don't mix. So the detergents acts as an emulsifier to allow anything that doesn't mix with water to combine with it, and then it's broken down, it's, you know, it's liquefied, it's dissolved, I suppose, it's emulsified, and then it's easier to remove. Now, solvents are a kind of different kettle of fish. They are not emulsifying the grease and oils on the surface. They are attempting to break them down. Now, you've got two types of solvents, or two categories of solvents. I've talked about before, polar solvents and non-polar. And I'm not a chemist, so I always struggle to remember which one's which. Now, I think polar solvents are the ones that are water miscible. If I got it wrong, apologies. And they're the nols, like isopropanol, ethanol. The nols, the water miscible solvents, IPA mix is the one we all know of. And then you have the non-polar solvents, which are typically the hydrocarbons, the mineral spirits, the paraffinic type, non-water miscible, water repellent type solvents. Now, the mistake I think you can fall into is using solvents on a tyre under the guise that you're preparing, you know, after you've cleaned the tyre, you then use a solvent on it to prepare the surface of the tyre to take protection. If you're in that mindset, you're falling into a big trap, I think, and it's said very respectfully, and it's also said bearing in mind that this might contradict information that other people have put out there. It may or may not, I don't really know, but that's just the nature of doing lots of content. There's lots of content out there which goes against things that I've told you, and I don't get the hump about it. So if this does contradict what other people are saying, that's just a part of it. Now, what is a tyre? So this is going to link us into the point about solvents. We're going to come back to that in a second. What is a tyre? Now, I'm not a tyre expert, and most of my information comes from reading and following and being interested in detailing. There's a very good article on tyres and tyre cleaning in Pro Detailers a long while back in an old issue, and I'm not going to be able to find which one it was and dig it out because it's too much time. Now, tyres are made of organic rubber. Rubber is an organic material, and a mixture of that organic rubber with inorganic or polymer synthetic rubber, so then a composition, if you like, and mixed in with that composition of different rubbers is something called an antiozonant. Apologies if I pronounce that incorrectly. And that is like a liquid that's mixed into this porous rubber composition to keep it moist, almost like a moisturiser. When the antiozonant flushes out and you're just left with the rubber can then dry and perish and crack. The antiozonant is the brown material that you often see oozing out of tyres, especially new tyres. And the thing to understand about antiozonant is it's part of the tyre composition. So your aim should not be to remove antiozonant. And I've seen lots of forum posts and stuff about people complaining about antiozonant coming out of their tyres when they put a new set of tyres on. And people are saying to them, go and use a solvent on the tyre, on the face of the tyre. That will really break down the antiozonant. You'll be able to get it, scrub it all off of the tyre. Well, the more solvent you put on the surface of the tyre, the more that solvent is going to absorb into the porous surface of the tyre, and the more antiozonant it's going to break down, and then that will come flushing out of the tyre later on when you drive the car, and you're going to get more browning. So the first thing is, the brown stuff is not your enemy. It's part of the tyre composition that you want to keep in there. So, you know, be conscious and mindful of the fact that you don't want to attack, or you don't want to, you don't want to break down antiozonant. You want to keep it in the tyre. So, going back to solvents then, when you're cleaning your rubber with solvents, that is a bad thing. And I mentioned the polar solvents and the hydrocarbons, the non-polar solvents. As you step away from the water miscible solvents towards the hydrocarbons are even stronger. So water-based, you know, IPA mixes, you see them for screen wash, you see them for milder kind of panel wipes when there's lots of water mixed in with them. And IPA is mixed in with some washing detergents and stuff like that as well as a degreaser to give it more kick. But they're generally milder. When you step up to pure hydrocarbons with no water, they are even stronger degreasers. Tar removers, you know, they break down tar, they break down adhesives. You know, they're adhesive removers and glue removers. You've got rubber on your tyre. You should not be using a hydrocarbon on a tyre, on a rubber tyre, because it's definitely going to break and attack the composition of the tyre, isn't it? That's what they do. It's going to break. If it can break down tar and glue and adhesives that have dried, it's going to not be good for your tyre. Right. So I do not see the need to use any solvent to clean your tyre. Why solvents? Now the next thing is, I'm gearing up to doing my tyre dressing review here, and some of these tyre dressings are actually advertised as tyre protectants. That leads us on to the next point. Do tyres need protecting? You know, now if you're under the opinion yes, well, first of all, you've got to remember, let's just see if you can see the screen. Yeah, you just about to see the screen. This looking sideways on your tyre, so like, you know, there's the axle there going off to the car. And then you've got your wheel in here. You know, you've got your main alloy wheel in the centre here. Whenever you do anything to a car tyre, you're only ever doing it to this sidewall here. So you can't put any protection on this part here because it's rolling around, it's going to get scrubbed off instantly. So this bit can never have any sort of protection that you can apply on it. And who is applying protection to the back sides or the inward sides of tyres? No one. So protecting a tyre, you're only really putting something on the sidewall and one side of the sidewall. Now, how could you protect a tyre? Well, some of the products talk about water repellency. Why would you need to just make the sidewall water repellent when the rest of it isn't? I don't know, but I'm sure these products are water repellent, but I don't see that as being of any benefit. The next thing is some of them talk about UV protection, providing UV protection for this. Okay, you know, I just don't buy it. I just don't buy that a tyre needs protecting and there's going to be any practical benefits to protecting a tyre. I'm of the opinion that once you clean these tyres, they can look a bit patchy and a bit dirty, and a dressing just makes the tyre look good. It's a narcissistic thing, but we like our cars looking good. So tyre dressings are there to make tyres look consistent, look fresh, and they do that quite well, I think. With some exceptions, they can grease out and slime up in the summer. In the winter, they don't last 5 minutes when it's wet and you get splashy mud on it. So there's limitations. But I thought it was important to talk about this. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. Now, dressings, solvent-based or water-based. I'm more comfortable with water-based dressings on the side of tyres. I'm just more comfortable nowadays. I think it just makes sense with what I've said. There are some solvent-based products here, like Meguiar's tyre gel. That's a solvent-based one. I'm sure some of the other gel ones, I don't know, so I don't want to say it, might be solvent-based. Now, do I think that they represent major risks or something if you put them on the tyres? No, but I think I prefer a water-based one, because I know that water as a carrier is going to have less effect on the tyre, regardless of what anybody tells me. That's just my gut instinct, but I'm not overly fussed. I used Meguiar's for like 10-15 years and never saw any problems with tyres or anything like that. So we've done how to clean, we talked about Antiozonant, and the question there that it goes back to is why solvents? The idea of needing to degrease a tyre so that you're preparing the surface to take the protection better, like you would your paintwork, where you know something is bonding to the surface. For me, it's kind of quite, I'm not sure if the word ridiculous is right, but it's wrong, and it shouldn't be. You're not preparing. The tyre is not the same sort of surface as the car's paintwork, and you shouldn't be degreasing them with solvents for the reasons that I've talked about, especially mineral spirits. You should not be using hydrocarbons to prep a tyre surface, because they are ridiculously aggressive. IPA and water, I personally wouldn't do it, but I know lots of people do, so it's said with a slight reservation. But that's my opinion, and I want this to be a discussion. This is not a dictatorship, this is just my opinion. And you know, it's good to get other people's opinions. So all I will be using is detergents, rags and brushes, and that is it. And then I'll dress the tyre. That's it for me. I'm not a massive dresser of tyres. I like a tyre dressing to be convenient and easy to apply. I'm less sold on the durability tyre dressings, if you've heard me before. You know, the ones that claim 6 months or all that sort of stuff, because no matter what you put on your tyres, they get filthy. And you can clean them back, but they never have the freshly dressed look unless you freshly dress them. So I tend to like something that's very easy to apply, so that because I'm lazy, so that I finish my car and I'd grab something and I'd go and spray it all over there and be done, and I haven't got to sit there working it too long or prepping it or, you know, all that. So, you know, something like this. This is probably, I talked about the fact I used Meguiar's Endurance for 10 or 15 years, not continually. This is the tyre dressing that I've used the most in my life. I used to have loads of these. If they were on offer and you get them on 3 for 2, I used to buy loads of them, but not for a long time. This is way before I had the channel. This is when I was in my 20s. And I just used to hammer my way through this stuff because I never used to touch the tyre. I would just have a rag in one hand, spray that around the tyre, and then just quickly wipe the alloy for any overspray, and I was done, no touching it. And it looked half decent, that was it. And I used to do it every time I washed my car. So it depends on your requirements, but this whole, you know, degreasing the tyre, putting on your gloves and protection and glasses, and then applying like something that's like a ceramic coating to a tyre or something, that for me is not where I'm at. But I have to try and review these products fairly. And I also want to put a lineup of products which gives me all the stuff which is quick and convenient, but also gives me all the stuff which is claiming long durability and high-tech protection, to give us an interesting lineup. But I'm also biased as a tester, so how do I make it fair with my little opinion underneath? You know, I'm quite an opinionated person. So all this stuff goes through my mind. Sometimes I can do the tests and my opinions can change. But I thought it'd be interesting to have a discussion around tyres, tyre cleaning and solvents, especially the subjects of solvents. And what do you feel about cleaning tyres with solvents? Ultimately, if you think I'm wrong, go and speak to your tyre manufacturer and ask them if you recommend that you need to prepare your surface of your tyre with a hydrocarbon solvent before you put protection on it. See what they say to you. Because I'm telling you now, I'll save you the cost of a customer support phone call. They'll say, no, don't do that. That's not a good idea. You're going to, it's going to be detrimental to the composition of the tyre. So there we go, guys. Thanks for watching. Let me know your opinion, and I'll see you soon on the Forensics Detailing channel. Bye for now.